welcome back. The Auditor General, the AG, says government's response to the KwaZulu-Natal flooding was just too slow, and I quote, too slow. Tsakani Maluleke presented her real-time audit report before the ad hoc committee on flood disaster and recovery in Parliament yesterday. She said auditors found that control measures were respected, though, by local government, with a few invalid social payments. But the report goes on to say government was unable to stick to its own response plan. Let's get the reaction then of KwaZulu-Natal Co-operative Governance MEC Sihle Zikalala joining us now for reaction to the report. MEC, good afternoon. Appreciate your time. The words "too slow" is how the report starts off. What's your reaction?
No, thanks for having us in your program. Yes, we firstly wish to thank the report by the AG. We're going to study the details of the report, but the overall thrust of the report emphasized issues that we have raised, that the response was to a certain extent or to a larger extent delayed, but delayed by a number of factors. The first is the fact that to respond to the floods was unplanned, because we never expected such a severe magnitude of flood. But secondly, the fact that some of the promised support didn't come on time, and these delayed the interventions. We are, however, grateful that the Auditor General affirmed us that our response was prudent and we managed finances and all resources deployed according to the prescripts.
So when we now talk about some of the biggest issues that are coming out, the housing is one of those as well. Of the houses that were inspected, MEC, there was quite a quick reaction to get some housing up for those who'd lost their homes. It was the quality, though, that was being found by the Auditor General. Some of them, 90% of the ones were inspected, didn't have inside doors. 20% of them didn't even have insulation in the ceilings either. What's happening with those houses? Because the money was there, it just wasn't used properly. That's the sense that we're getting from this report.
No, it's not that the money was there. The money eventually was allocated, not that it was there, because that will create an impression that there is a readily available resource. In this case, it was not. We had to mobilize the resources from our side and to engage with the national government. It should also be remembered that these are temporary residential units, not permanent houses, and the process of constructing permanent houses is going to start. But also with these temporary residential units, a major challenge has been around access to land. The availability of land has been a very serious challenge for the provincial government. We have to get land from the private sector, procure land, and then start constructing temporary residential units. And that is what has caused the delay. And the TRUs, the temporary residential units, should be considered as a dignified intervention for a period. But for a longer and a permanent solution, the solution is to provide houses, permanent houses to the people.
Let's talk budgets for a second, MEC, if you don't mind as well. I see the Daily Maverick reporting that the budget set aside by national, provincial and local government was almost 2 billion rand to assist. I know that's a rounded up number, but 2 billion rand is where we'll start. As of the 31st of July, only 6% of that, it's around 125 million rand, was spent. Was the money just not coming in, or were there just not the resources to use that money on to make things move quicker? What was the problem?
Firstly, once municipalities, let's firstly understand that this is the money that is not owned or located in one port, but you apply from the National Treasury, and those who apply are municipalities and departments that are affected. Once the allocation is made, those municipalities and respective departments will then have to spend. And in some cases, the National Treasury will disperse the allocation of the grants as per application and find that the municipalities are not quick enough to spend and respond. And therefore, that has caused this situation. That's why we've emphasized to municipalities that it is important that the allocation for disaster is spent within time and according to plans.
The other issue as well are moving away from the housing as well, and this was a resource which was available on the ground. MEC, help me understand what your knowledge is of what happened here. The AG also found that the eThekwini Metro, and I'm quoting, the eThekwini Metro did not prepare a comprehensive needs assessment to ensure delivery of water to all affected areas. We're talking about the water tankers in this case. The fleet was available. The problem was the fleet management wasn't up to standard. What do you say to that part of the report? That resource was there. It just wasn't utilized properly.
But, well, I think it would be fair enough to get eThekwini as the municipality and the organ of government to respond to that matter. Or from our side, it will be to say we need to assist the municipalities, all of them, for effective management of all resources that are at their disposal.
And that seems to be the takeaway from this, isn't it, MEC? As I say goodbye to you as well, it's all good and well to highlight the problems that has been experienced, but also it's to try and prevent this in future. Off the back of the AG report as the MEC, and knowing KZN could have flooding again, that's well documented, what would you like to see change to stop an issue like this? Not the flooding, stop issues like mismanagement and slow releasing of money in the future. What's your takeaway lesson from this?
Well, firstly, let us deal with the issue of mismanagement. This was not the mismanagement of funds, but was the question of managing accordingly the resources that are there, water tankers and all issues. I think we should put in place systems that will predict any future shortcoming or disaster. And we should stand ready. The problem also that comes with that is that it is not easy to continuously budget and spend resources on what you expect or what you think could happen in future. We are always having a lot of demands that we have to respond to now. And I think given the lessons we've learned, it will be important that we begin to plan and plan for anything, and don't think that planning for any eventuality is a waste of resources. I think that is a greater lesson that we've drawn. But I would also want to concur that the AG's report on its own should be a tool that we use to train ourselves and public servants so that we are effective in managing resources and funds that are allocated, but also the turnaround whenever there are challenges. The turnaround should be as speed as expected.
Yeah, expedience as far as getting basics like water to people as quickly as possible. MEC, thank you very much indeed for your time. I know the report only having just come out yesterday, still a lot to be studied from that, but there are takeaways from this. I appreciate your time. KZN Natal Cooperative, KZN Cooperative Governance, MEC, Sihle Zikalala. A lot that needs to be unpacked and planned better going forward. There doesn't seem to be any denial there. It's just a case of who does the planning and how that planning gets done. Right, thanks to the MEC this afternoon.